everyone. Oh, don't leave just because I'm coming on stage. All right, how are we doing? How's the energy in the room? We feeling good? All right, I'm a big call and response gal, so I'm gonna need you to keep with me. I know I'm the only thing standing between you and food, and I understand that. But we're gonna talk about the future of AI in learning. We've seen some of those themes already today. We're gonna dive a little bit more into what that looks like for you, your teams, and hopefully some of the transformations that you've started, but now we really wanna keep on that journey. So my name is Courtney Sembler, and I've had quite a few titles in the last year, so I'm gonna give you them all. I was running HubSpot Academy at HubSpot for the last 10 years, building that program, scaling it, and in September of last year, I left because I wanted to help other organizations build customer education programs into their business. And most recently, I took over managing the Zoom Learning Center to bring education to Zoom users around the world. So if you are a Zoom user, I also want to talk to you about the learning you want to see. I'm based in San Francisco. I've lived there most of my life, and I'm a customer education obsessed leader. I love it. I think it is the #1 thing that organizations need to be doing to take them from where they are today to where they want to be. And so today, we are gonna walk through a little bit of an AI reality check. We know it's here, you've heard it, you see it. Let's talk a little bit about what that actually means more practically. We're gonna talk about this customer education reimagination that's happening, go into what that looks like from an enterprise-wide transformation, not just customer education, but how that impacts skill development and other elements of your business. I'm gonna briefly touch on how we measure some of this. The folks here up on the stage were talking a lot about it. I love the conversation about course completion. We're gonna get into that a little bit. And I'm gonna leave you with a transformation roadmap. Where are you in that maturity model? Where do you wanna be going, and how are you gonna get there? So at the end of our time today, you're gonna explore some of the current state of AI in customer ed and review some of those frameworks to get you started. How does that sound? Sounds great. I love this front row right here. I want one of those jackets later. All right, so you've seen lots of stats like this. 87% of organizations use AI in learning. The stat I like more is only 29% of them have a strategic plan. That's tough. That's a big gap, but that's your opportunity. Everyone is implementing AI. If they're not, I guarantee you they are, they just don't know it. But the strategic opportunity is actually what I care about. And so when we think about this inflection point that's happened, we all know this. AI is officially mainstream in customer education. It's mainstream in learning in your day-to-day lives. But without a clear way in which we implement AI, it kind of feels like playing whack-a-mole. You've been in those conversations. I know you have. I have too. AI can just do it, right? Can I have it faster, cheaper? AI will handle it. That's not the reality that we're gonna live in. And so we look at some of the statistics here. About 87% of L&D orgs do use AI. Only about 2% of them right now are reporting no adoption plans. 36 of them have a defined workflow for AI. About 86% of education orgs use Gen AI. This is the highest adoption rate of any industry sector. It makes sense. We're producing a lot of education. And 88% of enterprises use AI in production, in at least one business function enterprise-wide. So we get it. It's not about whether or not AI is transforming learning. It's more about, are we gonna be leading that transformation in our organizations or having to play catch up? I don't want you to play catch up. I want you to take this as a mention and an idea of this strategy gap when we have adoption without ownership. These are some unfun statistics, but they're the reality for a lot of organizations, maybe even yours. 29% have a comprehensive AI governance plan. Governance with AI is really important. 28% of CEOs have a direct responsibility for their AI strategy and take responsibility for it. That's not a lot. 42% of AI projects get abandoned. And that's up 17% from 2024. I've done this. I have worked on an AI project and then decided, it's okay. We're just gonna leave it. That's a Monday problem. That's a Courtney of 2027 problem. 5% of Gen AI projects are producing measurable P&L impact. That's not fun. We're being asked to use AI, but we're not actually seeing the impact because we don't have ownership in what it means and what we're gonna do about it. And about 60% of people cite training gaps as the main problem with getting this ownership and adoption for AI. This is our reality check. This is the unfun part of the conversation, right? This is the all right, we're down in the dumps. How do we get out of it? Well, for learning, we actually have 3 very clear applications where AI is reshaping what we're doing. AI-powered content creation, adaptive learning paths, and intelligent analytics. And I like these because they're things we have to do anyways. We're not reinventing some wheel. We're not coming up with new things. We're looking at the reality of what we need to do as learning leaders and start to apply AI best practices to help us do it better. Not faster, not cheaper, not what maybe the industry is saying that we need to do, but better for our customers, for our internal learners as well. AI-powered content creation allows us to bring all that expert knowledge really quickly into our education. Not weeks and months, but minutes. Think about the last time that you were in a room and your product teams decided they were gonna ship something. You're like, oh my gosh, that's gonna update how many pieces of content and what do I need? Now with the power of AI, we can actually bring that in real time. The answer is smarter content, not more content. And I see this happening a lot in organizations, on the L&D side, on the enablement side, on the customer education side. We have new tools out. We have to just get more content out there. We just need to spin the flywheel faster. If any of you have ever felt like you're on a hamster wheel and you just can't keep running, I have been. I used to have a hamster. Ask me about it later. Not a great ending. But this wheel, we have to stop it ourselves. We have to talk about what the right content is, not just more content. Because if we think about it in this way, this smarter content, this more personalized content, this is the impact that we can have from a revenue standpoint. 35% higher expansion revenue. Better product education drives 35% more adoption across different products. We all want our customers to be expanding, being able to take on more, do more. Of course, support tickets are able to be deflected. This is one of the main reasons customer education exists in our industry today. And we get 2 to 3 times more returns in 12 months. Knowledge-driven support delivers returns. It reduces costs, and it's improved retention and faster adoption. One of the reasons why I think this is going to be even more important now is more and more of our support experiences are agentic. That's not a bad thing. It takes pressure off of us as a business, but our customers still we crave human connection. Education, customer education can do that for us at scale. All right, I'm gonna ask you in this slide to use your imagination. I like to call this framework we're gonna talk to the bow tie. But as I was creating this slide, a bow tie isn't a great way to jam information in. So imagine if this looked like a bow tie realistically. In reality, we've got some boxes because it's better for trading. But the customer education bow tie is how I think that we can start to implement this new flywheel effect for us to develop this customer education at scale with AI being able to help us. On the left-hand side is where we have our creation. This is our bread and butter. This is what our teams and we feel really comfortable in. The content topics, the curriculum, we define what our learners need. We get all that great insight from internal resources, from our existing customers, and we have templates and methodologies. I will repeat this as well. Repeatable frameworks save your life. Not your time, your life. being able to inform how we're going to develop education at scale doesn't just give you a better sense of the learning you need to create, but it allows you to train more people, more models. It gives you that opportunity to do this at scale. This is time-consuming initially. You have to ask yourself the hard questions. What does our learning look like? What do we want it to feel like? Before I get on stage, I always talk about, I want my learning to feel human and helpful and holistic, that you could apply this to many different things. What does that look like for your education? And we want to start to be implementing in this creation agentic review and QA. This is a big powerhouse for AI because you can tell it exactly what to do. Check to make sure this person's name is spelled correctly. Check to make sure it matches the brand style guides, and here's that framework to look at. This creation process allows us to move quickly and efficiently, and then we want to funnel it down, again, imagine if this was funneling, nice little bow tie, into our core architecture. I loved the slide we had up earlier about these different roles and this architecture that is coming with customer education. It is the critical structural layer because it allows us to translate creation of content into distribution. And we want to be thinking about this full spectrum here. Because on the other side of the bow tie, we have distribution, where this education is actually going to end up. And the middle layer, that knot, is going to help to make sure the creation that we have done is going to match the distribution. Now, this middle piece can be a person, it can be a team. In reality, it's going to be a lot of that agentic review. Is the content we created going to match where we want it to go? Why or why not? And on the distribution side, we now have owned and unowned surfaces that we have to pay attention to for customer ed. I know, in the past, we only had to worry about the things that we owned. Our LMS, where our website was, but that is not the reality we live in today. Our content is going to end up on Reddit, on LinkedIn, on YouTube, in AI assistants, in LLMs. We have to be thinking about that output of where your learners already are and making sure that we've created the content that's right for them. And so what I like about the bow tie framework is it allows us to take what we already do on the left-hand side, start to funnel it through this architecture that gives us the idea of where it needs to go, and make sure that when we're on the left, we're thinking about the right, and so on and so forth. So with this, the architecture layer is not only your most critical component, but it's probably where you've spent the least amount of time to date. We have both of the kind of sides figured out. We need to start to connect them in the middle. And this also looks like optimizing for these two different audiences. So on that right-hand side, we have the owned and unowned surfaces. In reality, this means you have two different types of learners. Your humans that you're teaching, and the LLMs that you also need to optimize for. Your content is inevitably going to end up there, whether it does today or in the future, and we want it to. This is a great example about how we can be directing traffic back to our websites and to our products in really natural ways. And if we're creating content that is optimized for both, we get to do the wonderful thing, which is 1 + 1 is going to equal 3. By optimizing content for both sides, we're not having to make sacrifices. Human optimization is going to look like the engagement-driven content, the adaptive journeys, the outcome focus, the things that we know are going to lead to the best outcomes for those customers. On the LLM optimization side, structured and machine-readable give you the unowned distribution. If it's not going to be optimized for those platforms, for those AI assistants, or on Reddit and LinkedIn, the search isn't going to surface and we can lose out. And that's where your customers can also go to other places that you don't necessarily want them to learn about your product. This is the way to play defense and offense at the same time. I'm a big sports fan, so if you're not basically doing the positive and the negative at the same time. I don't think that made any sense. We're just going to stick with offense and defense. When we optimize for both these audiences, it gives us a lot of opportunity to continue to generate the outcomes that we're looking for our customers. And this is where we can go from first login to power user. Just in a general customer journey, whatever you end up calling it, we have onboarding and adoption, retention, expansion. This allows us to bring that content through each of these different stages, both on our own and unknown surfaces. Unknown surfaces are a great way to kind of add in that fifth pillar here, which is acquisition. Not all customer education programs need to be focused on acquiring new customers, but it's an amazing way to do so. HubSpot saw that the HubSpot Academy could drive 70% of our new content leads. That was close to 1 million net new content leads a year came through HubSpot Academy, which was a huge opportunity for us that wouldn't have been possible if we weren't optimizing for our unowned spaces. But the key insight here, we're not a support function. With AI, we can actually leverage what we need to do to own all these business outcomes and also be a part of the full customer journey, not just one piece of it. And if you need to convince a leader that this is true, this is a great slide to screenshot and send to them. All right, let's look at what this means in enterprise-wide transformation, because I want to open this up a little bit wider. Enterprise learning transformation is not just about customer education. It also takes into account we have to do employee upskilling, partner training, and bringing AI into all learning operations. And so this is what I consider the playbook for how we think about not just one element of this, not just the retention, not just the adoption, but how we bring this whole out into our organizations. And what that looks like is the reskilling imperative here is truly that enterprise learning cannot wait. People need to reskill. We are learning at a faster rate than ever about new skills, new products. Every single one of us is going to have some sort of adjustment in our job description in the next 12, 15, 18 months because of technology that's being built today. We have to keep pace with that. It is our jobs. And as learning professionals, we get to lead that charge. 74% of companies can't keep pace with skill demands. It's a lot. And it's probably a reality for you as well. And the LMS market, well, it's not going anywhere because this gives us the tooling, the infrastructure to be able to deliver on these results at scale. So when we think about enterprise-wide transformation, we want to be able to not just do customer education, but think about the whole learning infrastructure. All right, we're going to land the plane here, and we're going to talk about the last two pieces, which is maturity, how we start to measure where we are on this AI adoption flywheel, as well as what this transformation map is going to look like for you and your organization. The transformation on how learning teams work is before AI, we sort of have this left. We did everything manually. We were super reactive. Admins had this just burden on the team capacity, and we didn't have a ton of strategy for AI. Tools were implemented ad hoc. That's my timer. I'm going to exit stage left. Thank you very much. We planned that earlier. But with AI, you have the automated content updates, and they can be deployed at scale. We have intelligent curation. We can do predictive analytics and real-time skill mapping. And these personalized paths can give us the power to the future. So what it means to get here, because all of this stuff on the right isn't going to happen overnight. No, Claude can't do it for you. I've asked. But our AI integration maturity, I think about it as 3 levels. We have the reactive AI adoption, then we have the integration, and AI-led learning organizations. And I will say it is okay to be in any one of these levels. And you might not also stay in one forever. You might get to level 2 on some aspects of your learning team, and then might still be at level 1 for others. That's okay. There's going to be a blend here, and this is where we will work through it together. But if you're in level 1, you probably have some AI tooling. Maybe you implemented Claude or something to help you curate some content, but you're still mostly doing this manually. You're still reacting to requests that are coming in. They don't have a process yet. But as we move into level 2, we start to integrate it into each of the different processes that we have. And I would say the biggest inflection point between level 1 and level 2 is those processes that you have, those frameworks, that left-hand side of that bow tie. You've got that figured out. You've had the tough conversations. What does our learning need to look like? We've written that down so we can start to process it in these workflows. And when we get to level 3, really what we have is that our organizations can anticipate our learners' needs as well as drive decisions for us. They can be integrated into where the learning is actually happening and where products are changing or skills are evolving, and give us those real-time indicators that things are changing. And it's also woven in to our product experiences. Not just go to this LMS and learn, but learn in the flow of work. So we take it from the curation standpoint, we bring it through that architecture, and we actually are deploying the content with AI as well. With that, we can start to connect it to our business outcomes. About 57% of folks report that they can't report on revenue metrics. But when we can start to show that the higher expansion revenue is there, that we have better ROI, that we are able to measure the revenue impact, not just completion rates. Completion rates are great. They tell us some things about what's going on. But as our panel was talking about as well, someone might not need your full course, and that tanks their completion rate. That's okay. They got what they needed. It's just a black box for us to understand if it actually happened. When we look at the business outcomes, did they have higher retention? What is the gap between our customers that learn with us and don't learn with us? What kind of support tickets do they submit? Are they just all random things that they could find in our academy? Or are they actually problems and bugs? We want to start to look at what the business impact is. And that might look different for each of your organizations, and that's okay. But we want to be in this mindset as we go into evaluating the impact of our learning. All right. Oh, wow. Okay. We're like 2.5 minutes away. You can hang out with me. We've got this. The content bottleneck, this is something that the Learn Upon team has been solving so quickly and rapidly in the last year because they're able to do that faster course creation and speed, not just in weeks, but in minutes. This is something that I've been really impressed with being able to see because this is where all of that impact that we want to see is going to put us on that right course to make that happen. The creation cost goes down. This is another big piece of being able to show revenue impact, is making sure your overhead doesn't kind of control that conversation. And so as we get this solved, we're able to move into our transformation. We're able to look at what these next steps are going to be. So for you, your AI learning transformation roadmap is going to be about 5 different stages. Starting with customer education. We have such an impact here on ROI. There's a lot of different places in learning orgs that we can have an impact. Customer education, being able to prove that impact on adoption, retention, and expansion is a great way to start. Building out that full bow tie. You're going to start in probably that left-hand side, make sure that those creation processes are ready to go and weaving them through that architecture, but we want to be thinking about that end-to-end. It's not just curation and content development. It's not just where the distribution is. We want to start to optimize for those dual audiences, not just how you serve human learners, but how we're also serving our lovely agentic friends, the LLM. How are we going to educate to them as well? We want to be measuring business outcomes, not just if they completed, not if they were able to pass the exam, but are they actually showing retention? Time to value is reducing. Revenue is expanding. Ticket deflection, not just completion rates. And we want to assign strategic ownership. We need to have an owner for these things, whether it's us, people on our team, learning councils, whatever it may be. We need to have someone who's helping us drive this vector forward for AI for our organizations. That way we don't have adoption without ownership and lose that strategic value. So our key takeaways here as we sort of wrap things up, and I'm happy to talk about any of this in the hall. AI is reshaping learning. If you didn't think it was, every single one of the folks that have been on the stage has told you that it is. We're here, but we need to have that real strategic plan. Customer education has the highest ROI use case for bringing in AI to its content development. Now with Learn Upon and the opportunities here with reduction in content creation, we're going to start to solve that bottleneck. Think about the full bow tie, not just the curation or distribution. Think in measuring business outcomes, not completion rates. And we are well on our way to adopting AI in all of our educational practices. Thank you so much for being here with me today. I really appreciate the time and attention and look forward to chatting with both of you later. Thanks so much.